everyone. It's Shane Conto, your Wasteland Reviewer, and welcome to the Wasteland Spotlight here on the SPDM Crew Podcasting Network. And this is my monthly show where my guests and I, we have a theme. We have four movies to highlight that theme. And it is my guest in residency. It's Patrice. Thank you so much for coming on.
I'm so glad to keep coming back.
Absolutely. And we have gotten past putting on a show because, the honeymoon phase, putting the show's over. But it is March, so that means it's St. Patrick's Day. And we're all Irish at St. Patrick's Day, right? I am actually Irish American, so I can say that. But
Oh,
fun fact, I'm like, my brother did one of those DNA tests and found out he's like almost 70% Irish.
oh my gosh.
Dominant traits.
Yeah, I can't, obviously. Visually,
But
most Irish person I know.
yes, I'm what they call Black Irish. I just look really Italian American.
Yep.
For whatever genes that were in there. But we are going to be highlighting the career of Maureen O'Hara, who, interesting enough, this parallels one of my other shows as I got to watch her big debut
hmm
in Jamaica Inn before she was pulled from the UK to America with Charles Lawton for Hunchback of Notre Dame. And then he sold her off, because you could do that back then.
Yeah,
Um,
'cause you could just trade like their baseball players back then.
absolutely. And Maureen O'Hara's career skyrocketed from that point. And we're going coast to coast because we're going to be talking about films from 1941 all the way up to 1991, so spanning 50 years. But we're going to get started with something light and fun. Just kidding. It's How Green Was My Valley. And this is a John Ford film, winner of Best Picture, notoriously over things like Citizen Kane. And I had watched this film for my John Ford series. So if you want to watch me go through 80 John Ford films, you could go over and watch them all on my YouTube channel for Welcome to the Wasteland. But at the turn of the century in a Welsh mining village, the Morgans, he stern, she gentle, raise coal mining sons and hope their youngest will find a better life. And this is starring, obviously, Maureen O'Hara, Walter Pidgeon, the Dr. Morbius. It is indeed Morbin time. That joke was made at least once by my wife. Uh, watching How Green Was My Valley. We have Donald Crisp, and uh, he was a wee little lad,
Oh my
Ronnie
goodness, yes.
McDowell.
I think this was pre-Lassie because he is a little
And
guy in this.
and if you want to know how weird Welsh can be, look
Ugh.
at some of the names in this movie. But
Oh my goodness, it's a
yes,
difficult character names to pronounce. I think Willem's the easiest one.
can we confirm that his name is Mr. Griffith, despite the fact that it's Gruffydd?
Right. If we hadn't heard them say it so many times, we would never be able to.
So I know John Reese Darby, and because Reese Darby, well, John Reese Davies, Welsh actor. I know how to actually say that because of multiple Reeses, including Reese Evans, who's a famous actor, even though Evans is IFANS.
Right.
And if you ever want to hear about how weird Welsh can be, just listen to uh, Michael Sheen and David Tennant talk about it. So, and this is a quick side note. If you do want to watch some great Welsh culture, go watch a documentary now. Because there's a whole entire stone throwing episode in Wales with famous Welsh figures like Tom Jones, John Rhys Davies, and Jonathan Price all popping up in that episode. So,
Oh man. Know what
and
I'm
if you
doing after this?
there you go. And if you didn't get enough Welsh now, let's talk about How Green Was My Valley. But Patrice, what are your general thoughts on the film?
I haven't seen it in about 10 years because it does really pull on your feels pretty hard. Just when, and a lot of it's the time period, and a lot of families go through a lot of loss, a lot of tragedy, a lot of losing jobs, not knowing what you're going to do now that, a mill closes, a factory closes, whatever it is. And this mining town is no different. And that is, the main thing here is there is an influx of people without jobs. So the people that have been doing the job and know the job and get paid well for the job are in danger of losing them. So this entire thing is a very large family who has, six sons and a daughter, which is, probably the shape you kind of wanted to be in back then, because you really only got to marry one of them off and the rest of them can all work. So,
There you
they
go.
did seem to be in a better position than a lot of other families in the town because they had so many people able to work. But that time period being what it was, it's just so interesting to me that you've got, the patriarch of the family that's very set in being loyal to the company and being loyal to the town and things like that, and the younger sons thinking, we don't, being loyal isn't the same as being, treated fairly, and unions might be the way to get us treated fairly. And just the dynamic between everyone changing throughout the movie as all these different tragedies happen, and how they deal with them, and how faith is also a big part of it for all of them. Just is very interesting. So as much as, I'm generally a 3-star comedy over a 5-star drama kind of person, I really love this movie.
Which this is my second time watching this because I did watch it from a John Ford series about 2 years ago. And, this is notorious for being the film that beat Citizen Kane for Best Picture. And a lot of people in that conversation is like, oh, how could that movie beat Citizen Kane? It's the greatest film of all time. And Citizen Kane is indeed one of the greatest films of all time. It is a massive achievement. But I feel like people should not just go out and like talk this movie because this is a really well directed, well acted, moving film. Yeah, it's not Citizen Kane in
No,
terms of like technical prowess and stuff like that, but John Ford was one of the premier directors of the time, and this film has a lot of emotion. It captures, because John Ford knew how to capture scale with all of his westerns, and you feel this town and there's a lot of shots that capture you see the mine in the background and how it is the center of this town and you really get that feeling visually. There's beautiful moments with nature, especially
mhm,
like when Walter Pidgeon and Roddy McDowell are like out in that
the
field.
daffodil field. Yeah.
Yep. And like that's beautiful. There's beautiful imagery throughout the film as well. And this story tackles a lot. And obviously, we have at the core, you have this young boy played by Roddy McDowell, who's adorable. Little Hugh, little
Oh, he's so
boy.
good. Like, I if they hadn't got Roddy McDowell, and if he wasn't as good as he was, we'd have a different movie, because
Yeah.
so much of it is really hinging on his performance to be all these different things at all these different times. So I think they were, that was really the linchpin of making this movie work as well as it did. Because if you had a not as good child actor in that role, you wouldn't buy any of this.
No, and he's endearing, he's empathetic. He has his own little journeys, him going to school and getting bullied, and then the local former boxer showing
Mhm.
up and decking his teacher.
Who
That
was
was
blind, who I did not realize was blind right away.
wild.
It was insane.
Which that whole entire sequence is unhinged comic relief for this movie, but
And perfectly
it's
timed too.
yeah, because like you need to cut some tension at times, and this was really charming and at times, and also very heartbreaking at times. And yeah, this deals with some big ideas, whole union situation, and being you know, loyal to the company and all the hard work that you put in versus this union and, you know, how timely at this point, seeing
Mhm.
as this is like a stone throw away from McCarthyism. And it's like, look at this movie trying to be a communist. Um communist with their unions. And they even bring that up and how it connects with the church
Mhm.
because oh that preacher, that guy.
He's all
Um,
thinky.
was that? which actor was that? Uh Arthur Shields, like that hated that guy. Like he did such a perfect job. He was despicable.
Oh,
And
man, yeah, he really like, just the way he looked at the people that he was talking to when they're having, like, their deacon meetings and stuff.
yeah,
Oh, he was just despicable, like
well, and he was a horrible person, and it really highlights the oppressive and judgmental nature that churches in small towns like this can have because of the sway that they have over the community. And it's very like might be one of the first people in the world to bring up breaking the waves from Lars von Trier in the same conversation. How green was my valley? But it's a lot of the same kind of stuff, that small town feel, and this film really captures small town feel. Like obviously John Ford was very proud of his Irish heritage
Mhm,
and his family coming from Ireland. And yes, this is in Ireland, but it's also Wales. It's still like that British Isles, small town kind of community, working class. And I think John Ford really captures all that really well.
mhm. Yeah, you really do feel immersed in this town and in these people's lives. It's,
Mhm.
I think just he knows how to capture the background to pull you in without having to dwell on it for a long period of time, if that makes sense. Like, I feel like you get enough of the the mine landscape from outside and then into, the town roads and things like that. It just you really do feel immersed in this area. Like, I never
Yeah,
felt like I left the town for, like, a soundstage or something. Like, you always feel like you're there.
absolutely. And that's essential for this film to work is
Mhm,
that you feel fully engrossed in this experience of the Morgan family. And they go through a lot. There's some tragic, tragic moments in this movie
mhm.
related to the mines and all the danger that can be had in there. But the cast, I really feel like brings us together. I know we've mentioned a couple of people, but like Maureen O'Hara, because what she was 21
Yeah,
when this
I
movie
mean,
came out.
she is just just starting along her little acting journey
Yep.
here, and she's pulling
And
off a lot of emotions and doing a lot of the, because she's not just concerned for her family. She wants to care about her own future and
yeah,
where her heart really lies, but she knows the reality of living and being who she is means you can't do what you want to do. And, Mr. Grufford knows that too. And the fact that he pretty much tells her, like, we can't be together because this isn't the right life for you. I don't want you subjected to being at the mercy of people's charity to survive, and I don't want to bring up children like that. So, he lets her go and pushes her away so that she can have a better life because he knows there's not a lot else for her.
which I love the dynamic between Walter Pidgeon and her. And because he obviously my only experience with Walter Pidgeon was Forbidden Planet. So like him as Dr. Morbius. And his voice, he just has a presence.
Mhm.
And he brings that here, and it's a warm presence. And I appreciate that in how he tends his flock and how he navigates those elements. And Maureen O'Hara brings in a lot of emotion, and she's an intense actor. Like she can have very intense facial expressions. I've seen so far in a
Mhm.
few of her performances, and she's also gorgeous.
Oh, yeah.
And like the two of them, I really love that together. Donald Crisp is fantastic as the father,
Mhm.
the patriarch of this family. And they spend a lot of time really highlighting the dynamics of this family because we see them at the dinner table. We see them in the
When they go
ups and
through their
downs.
accounting together, like, everything's
Yes.
together, and it's
Yeah.
very sweet, especially because of the age ranges of everyone in the family, but they're still very tight, and they don't wanna disappoint their parents, but, the sons do realize, this isn't sustainable like this. We need to be thinking about the future. It's not going to just keep going on every day. We're not just going to be able to make it to this stage in life like their father, because the mind is changing and the world is changing,
Yeah.
and they make the hard decision. I mean, they don't want to leave their parents, they don't want to leave their mother, they want to stay in this town, but they know, two of them are like, hey, America is the way to go here, and we're gonna, we need to do this.
Well, and that's such a big piece to this too, because I was just having this conversation with Jess because I never really thought about this, but like there's more Irish Americans than there are Irish people.
If that's true,
Like
that
in
would be
Ireland.
like, that's crazy.
And like, are there more Italian Americans in America than there are in Italy? And like thinking about these kinds of things because immigration was such a big piece of so many of their lives at this time because like and I've seen some ignorant people posting like beautiful shots of Ireland and stuff. It's like, oh, why would you leave this for New Jersey? And it's just like, well, it was either you're gonna die of famine
Yeah.
or you were gonna get a new life,
Mhm.
idiots. Um,
It's like you're
read a
trying whatever
history
you
book.
can to survive, and that seemed like the sustainable option was going somewhere where there actually might be work
Yeah,
and
but
food.
read a history book, for once, where you open your mouth. But like this, you get that. You understand that experience, and this is not like a big, complex plot kind of movie. This travels through the perspective of the Morgan family. We see what a life is in a small village at this time. And we see the ups, we see the downs. There's little moments of the choir thing
Mhm,
and being hopeful and happy and joyous about that. I love that shot of, you know, Maureen O'Hara coming out from her wedding and they're all coming down the steps and then they start driving away and you just see Walter Pidgeon coming out the back like side of the
mhm,
church and just like how that camera moves. I'm like, this is why John Ford was one of the best directors of that time and so influential. Is like he just understood how to capture a moment
mhm.
so
'Cause he didn't have
perfectly.
to cut away to show him walking out the back, but you still very much are aware of him doing it, and I think that is beautiful.
Well, and it's sad seeing
Mhm.
him come out and be in the background, in the shadow of all that joy, because that could have been his joy.
Right.
But and that's a very powerful moment. And this film is just a beautiful portrait of a family and of a community, the good, the bad, the joyous, the sadness, the tragedy. And, it's quite the ensemble. And obviously, Maureen O'Hara gets to be part of this like romantic lead duo between her and Walter Pidgeon. And it's a beautiful film. And yes, it is quite tragic. That's the thing. Obviously, John Ford is so well known for all of his westerns and stuff, but between this and Grapes of Wrath, he also understood family and capturing, the trials and tribulations and the power of a community, power of a family sticking together too.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, just the way he captures just everyday life for these people is without making them seem like, I mean, they were a family that everyone knew, but like takes you through how a town like that, everyone does know everyone and everyone does play a role in society at that point. And I think it's really interesting the way he was able to pull all the other side characters in to show the relationship and the dynamics between how the town really interacted with each other and how they felt about each other. And then through all these different things with, the mine shutting down, the mine reopening, page scales changing, people getting laid off, how it affected how the family was viewed by the town too.
Yeah,
Because even at her wedding, he had to say, like, "You're not going to sing at my daughter's wedding," things like that. And but they still did, because
yeah,
it's not her fault. She grew up in that town, and they're disagreeing with the father right now, not the daughter, and so they still do all the traditional stuff that they would have. So I just it he captured just all these different little aspects where if they weren't all there, you don't get as great a movie.
absolutely. Well, Patrice, are you ready to leap? We got 11 years into the future, but into the past and on the
Yes.
high seas. Because next up, we have Against All Flags from 1952 from directors George Sherman and Douglas Sirk, which it's always interesting looking at like films from back then and just being like, hey, the studios hodgepodge together some directors on some of these things. But
Yeah.
This is starring Errol Flynn, Maureen O'Hara, and Anthony Quinn. That was an interesting bonus of having double Anthony Quinn in
I know.
this. And very funny, this Mexican man playing a Greek man
A
in the
Greek
film we'll
man.
talk about later, and now here, like, what is he supposed to
I'm not
be?
sure, like, because his name is Braziliano, and they keep talking about sailing to Brazil. So I don't know, is he supposed to be Portuguese?
I
And
guess. Which
like,
here's the thing. I I didn't realize Anthony Quinn was actually Mexican because you probably wouldn't guess that from the name Anthony Quinn, but then you look
right.
up his real name and then realize, of course, it's Hollywood and that's how things work. So,
Mhm.
ethnically ambiguous Anthony Quinn.
Mhm.
Um, Maureen O'Hara, not ethnically ambiguous. You know this
Not
woman.
at all.
And we have Brian Hawke of the Royal Navy versus the Pirates of Madagascar. And this movie's 84 minutes. That was wild to me. But Patrice, what are your general thoughts on Against All Flags?
I like me some swashbuckling,
Yep.
and I like the Spanish Main as well as another Maureen O'Hara kind of swashbuckly movie, but I like this one a little more because she's a pirate, and
Yes.
I think her story in this is so much more interesting because she's not just someone that was married into this or anything like that. I like the that her father, like, how they got to the island, everything about this. And like, she is kind of, even though she is very much not messed with because she's Spitfire Stevens. I love that
Yep.
you don't even know her name until almost the end of the movie. But she's well respected, she holds her own. I just think it's a fun kind of twist on the just we're going from point A to point B kind of pirating. I like that
Yep.
it's stationary on this island and the story behind why. So it's just a little bit, they're all kind of similar, but I like how this one's got its differences that like kind of make it stand out a little. And it's a different point in Errol Flynn's career, kind of near the end, but it's really more like the beginning for Anthony Quinn and Maureen O'Hara. So it's
Mm.
just interesting.
Yeah, there's a lot of not a lot of thoughts on this film because there's some mixed stuff, but in general, first off, this movie is so bright and
Mhm.
vibrant, and these costumes, oh my God. And I have to say, just looking at Maureen O'Hara with like the big hat, the purple, and
I
just
love the picture on IMDb is my favorite costume from the entire movie, and she doesn't wear it that much. So I think it's so cool that that is the picture that they have
yeah,
on one of the first ones because that purple plume coming out of the hat and the striped scarf that she had just for that tribunal scene, and that was about
yeah.
it. She didn't wear this outfit again. She had on, kind of a Robin Hood green
Mm.
tunic, a lot of this with the boots coming all the way up with the embroidery on them. I mean, just the costumes in this, like they didn't skimp anywhere on anyone because everyone
No,
is just decked out
the I want to know the costume budget on
for
this
real.
film because it was incredible. Which I have to say, that one picture of her, gun gun
Oh,
drawn,
it's
like
amazing.
red lips, intense stare. I'm like,
Mhm.
he's
Yeah,
gorgeous,
she's absolutely gorgeous. This whole
and she's so
movie,
magnetic too.
she's you can't not look at her in every scene she's in. Like the fight scenes, and you did notice that they knew that when they were filming this because she's very rarely in any of the wide shots of any of the fight scenes, and I think that was a good decision because would you be looking at anything else? I mean, seriously, because she is just your eye is drawn to her in
Yeah.
every scene she's in.
Well, and a couple of thoughts about Errol Flynn. One, why didn't anybody tell me that Kevin Kline's a vampire and he was just Errol Flynn? Um, back in original Hollywood. Which like looking at him, especially throughout this whole movie, I'm like, that's just Kevin Kline.
Hmm.
What are we doing here? Wait a minute.
Guess we know how
Um,
we got in Pirates of Penzance. It's like, look,
which
you remind
I
me of someone.
I think Errol Flynn might have lost a bit of his starch and his charisma by this point.
Hmm.
Like this is not like Robin Hood, and but like he's still charming, and I do think that I think he gets a little overshadowed by Maureen O'Hara because
Oh yeah.
she's definitely the standout in this film. But like late stage Errol Flynn probably still has more charisma than 90% of actors. So,
Yeah, that's the whole thing. I mean, even in the first fight scene that he really had, where they've got I can't remember those harpoony pokey sticks.
yeah.
I can't remember what they called him. You can tell it is a lot of him in that. They don't cut
Yeah.
away. He's
No, that
jumping
was a wide
over and
shot. There was
yeah,
no editing.
you see that he's still doing all this and he's not bad at it. So even though he may not have, we're not like at peak Errol Flynn by any means, even three-quarter Errol Flynn is still like far and away
Yeah.
doing
Which
the
also
job here.
his Santa outfit,
Yes.
that
Some of the
red,
choices for the colors were so interesting.
so
It's
interesting.
like, oof.
But honestly, like Anthony Quinn almost steals the show because he is just such a
Yeah.
big personality in this.
hmm No, I love him in this. I really loved Anthony Quinn in this. You don't want him to be such a kind of skeezy guy about some of this stuff because you want to root for him because he's so charming in that role.
Yeah,
Like, I'm just the way he swaggers in and the way, like, everything about his presence and like you could tell he just embodied this character while he was doing it because like his movements, how he talks to her, how he talks to his men, like he's got this down.
absolutely. And the three of them really anchor this film down in a lot of ways. And obviously, Anthony Quinn has played many ethnicities in his career, all across the board. But like the this isn't you bring up an interesting point. It's like, what if a Pirates of the Caribbean movie was just on Tortuga the whole time? And that's kind
Right.
of like that's what this movie is.
Yep.
And it is an interesting dynamic, and it's not like a big sprawling, swashbuckling pirate movie. It's only 84 minutes. It's more of like this story, this undercover work that
Yeah.
Errol Flynn is doing. And yes, the most interesting character in the movie is indeed Spitfire, and her whole experience and her falling for Brian Hawk and trying to overcome uh Brasiliano's character and that whole entire dynamic. It's a fun time. I had a good time with this movie, and I do enjoy some pirates for
hmm
sure.
Yeah, I like that the fight scenes aren't so long that you get because sometimes in these movies they kind of go overboard with the fight scenes where you're like, all right, is this fight over yet? And I like that. I think there's really only like four major fight scenes in the movie, and none of them are drawn out so much that you're just like, okay, carry on. And they all do visually look different too. So it's
Yeah,
not like you don't feel like you're watching recycled footage of the ship that just got stormed. They look very different and they're doing different things because they're setting the ship on fire in the one, they're just it's very different how they're doing the fighting too, which I thought was pretty cool. And you do get that very satisfying like cut down the sail at the end in the last
yeah.
big fight, which I loved.
It's like that's that pirate stuff that
I
I
was
want
like,
out
I
of
was
my
waiting for
pirate
it.
movie.
I was waiting for it the whole time. I'm like, come on, Errol Flynn, you got to do it.
Like, what are you waiting for?
Like, we
And
had a whole episode of Mythbusters on this. I know it's not real, but I want to see it.
this is this is one of those types of films where it's like you go back and like this is where a lot of those tropes, like
Mhm,
this film's like leaning into that kind of stuff because obviously there was the Seahawk
mhm.
and stuff
Yeah.
like that earlier in his career, and Captain Blood,
Yes.
and which I just watched for the first time recently. I really enjoyed that a lot.
Mhm,
And this was a fun time. I enjoyed it. It had a lot of those piratey things. Maureen O'Hara was incredible, and Errol Flynn and Anthony Quinn were great too. And just those costumes, the visuals of this film were so bright and vibrant.
mhm,
And it's one of those types of things where it's just like they just don't color films like this anymore, and it makes me a little sad. It's like
mhm.
not to pick on, I won't specifically say what the movie was, but it was like a historical drama and it was all browns and grays. And you're just like,
Yeah, I don't need my movie to be sepia tone for me to know I'm in the past.
yeah, just like, I didn't need that. Like, show a little life here.
Yeah.
And this is vibrant. Has plenty of life for sure. Well, Patrice, are you ready for summer rental? I mean,
Yes.
Mr. Hobbs takes a vacation.
And that's why I picked this. I know that you are the Great Outdoors Summer Rental or ones you've seen,
Yes.
and I thought you would enjoy seeing how very similar. If you this movie, like in a nutshell, to me, has always felt very Summer Rental meets Great Outdoors meets a Griswold event of some kind,
Yes.
because that's what this is.
How funny would that be if Jimmy Stewart was Clark's dad?
Right.
Which is like bad memories of vacation.
Right.
So, yes, Mr. Hobbs takes a vacation from 1962. Mr. Hobbs wants to spend a quiet holiday at the beach, but his wife has invited all their family to stay with them. How dare she?
How dare.
This is from director Henry Coster, starring Jimmy Stewart, Maureen O'Hara. We have Fabian,
Hmm.
uh, and which I would like to just point out that disgusting facial hair that he
That beard he
goes
tried at the end was hideous.
I kid like what are we doing? And there's a couple of familiar other faces that I noticed too, like John Saxon, like the
Hmm.
sheriff from Nightmare on Elm Street. And John McGiver is a lot of fun too. But yes, this is a 2-hour movie about going on vacation and shenanigans.
That's the only issue I really have with this is that it does kind of draw out things it doesn't need to. Because if this was a little bit shorter, I think it would just be like so many more people would have known about this movie,
Yep.
because everything in it, like the all the different parts come together and are great. There's a lot of heart. There's a lot of, oh, all the things that are annoying about your kids ignoring you while you're trying to make things better for them, and like all the different things that happen. The son's only interested in watching TV, but by the end, he realizes his father's a real person and is really interesting and wants to spend time with him. So it does actually do things. It's not just about like, oh, here's some slapsticky stuff. Like there is, a lot of heart mixed in with this too, about all the different changing dynamics between the ages of the kids and their parents and things like that, and them becoming parents themselves. But if they had just cut it a little tighter, I feel like it'd be a like, because even
Fighter.
yeah, it just I don't think it needed as long with some of the stuff, like the bird watching. You're watching Jimmy Stewart, like, just going through the woods by himself for, like, a minute and a half straight with the reeds and stuff, and it's like, we couldn't have just dealt with 30 seconds of that? Like, the decisions like that where I think they could have, if it was just a little tighter, this would be so much better, but I
Yeah.
still like, everything that's going on here.
And a lot of fun.
It's got a lot of sweet things that happen in it too. Just, wanting his daughter to feel special at the dance. And she's a pretty girl, but she doesn't want to smile because she has braces. So,
Yeah.
he's paying the boys to go dance with her, which seems ridiculous because she's so pretty and, sweet looking. And, Fabian giving the money back at when they like things like that. Where it's like, oh,
Yeah. Hey, there's a lot to talk about in this film because there's a lot in this
yeah,
film.
there's a lot.
There's a lot of shenanigans that go on, but one, so I'm like, wow, Jimmy Stewart really married young, with Maureen O'Hara, and then realizing they're only 12 years apart, and I'm like, I'm doing that math, and I'm like, he
It,
Jimmy
yeah.
Stewart looks older
He
in
looks
this
like a
movie.
grandfather, and she does not look like a grandmother in this. Yeah,
Oh
it's
no, she does not.
crazy.
I'm like, 'cause she's only like 40 something.
Yeah.
Like she's Maureen O'Hara is like 42 in this movie, and she is looking amazing. And I'm like, good for you, Jimmy Stewart.
Yeah.
Because like Peggy doesn't get a whole lot of like character focus throughout this film, to be honest. But like, I'm not gonna complain about her popping up on screen
Mhm,
throughout the movie because she's gorgeous, and she just has this Maureen O'Hara just has this presence that even if she doesn't have a whole lot to do, like you're gonna notice her popping up
mhm,
in scenes, and like that whole that whole opening sequence when they're in their bedroom talking about the vacation just encompasses what being a father was then apparently, where it's
mhm.
just like because I was thinking my grandfather he was a foreman at Philadelphia Electric. He didn't see the kids very
Right.
often. And when he did, he made them churn cement in the backyard. All my uncles told me this. And I lived with my grandparents for 18 years. I got to experience him as grandpa,
Right.
and he loved his grandkids, most of them. Um, you know,
Like Jimmy Stewart in this.
oh,
That
we'll get to
kid.
there.
Yeah.
We'll get to that kid. But Jimmy Stewart's like, I have to spend time with the kids.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like such a dad. And to be fair, if Maureen O'Hara in this movie was my wife, I would want to spend a
It's like, yeah, I'd
vacation
want to go
alone
on
with
a
her.
month-long cruise with just her too.
Yes.
So you can
Like,
understand why he starts off wildly disappointed and having to do
yes.
all this work to be around all these people when he was like, I'm going to Europe on a month-long cruise with my hot wife.
Yep. And then we show up to the money pit. Um,
Yes.
which like this I'm like, I thought this was gonna turn into a horror movie because
Mhm.
this looks like a horror movie on the beach.
Yep.
Like a horror haunted house on the beach. I'm just like, look at this house.
Like, but
And
their friend said we could use it for the summer. It's like, who? That is not your friend.
it's like free house, this house.
Hmm. Yeah,
That's the
there's a
tricky thing.
difference.
Like, luckily, when I've been offered a place to stay for free, it has never looked like this.
Yeah.
And I didn't need an instruction manual to get the pump to work.
Right. It
Which I
made no
like
sense.
that gag probably lasted tad. Well, that's the thing. A
Yeah.
lot of these things last a tad too long, which
Mhm.
is why, like, if this could have been like 15 minutes shorter
Yeah.
and would have been zippy.
Mhm.
But that's a fun gag. Um, I did love that dance with him, like, so it was like, did you pay the boys? It's like, yeah, I
Yeah.
did.
He didn't even try to cover. He's like, yeah, she needs to dance. She needs to have fun.
And I did really enjoy that dynamic between Laurie Peters and Fabian. I thought they were very adorable together. That was very sweet.
Oh,
We
when they were
had
singing at the pizza place was so cute.
yeah, we had Valerie Varda as Marika. She she wanted Jimmy Stewart.
Oh, yeah. And she
Like
was not
this
making a
career.
secret as to why. Oh, you're a banker? Bankers make good money. Okay. I want to read the book you're reading. It's
It's
like,
like, let me
okay.
casually read War and Peace on the
Do you have any
beach.
other friends from the city coming out here? Like, and do they also bank?
Do they bank? Um, and then you're dealing with a lot. There's some drama here with like I felt bad for his daughter and like the husband who we find out didn't have a job anymore
Right.
and that storyline. I would like to point out that John Saxon's character Byron is so smug and I hated him.
Yes. The whole time. I
So
was
smug.
like, how are they staying in the same house as this guy? Because, oh my Lord, you just want to kick him out the whole time.
I was half expecting for him to sleep with Marika and that
I was too.
cause the whole entire thing. At least if that happened, hopefully he would have been dumped.
Yeah.
Um, but
Because
that
I
didn't
was
happen.
expecting that to happen so that, like, I'm thinking my thought process the first time I saw this was, I bet all the kids end up having to come home with him. And this is
Because
why. Because the one you'd already heard that he had lost his job. So, oh, well, that's okay. They'll just come live with us. It's like, oh, okay, Peggy. Thanks. Thanks for changing our lives here. And
it's
then
just
when
like,
he
not
was,
only did I not get my vacation, now I'm never gonna
now
have
I'll
time
never be
alone ever
alone
again.
again.
The boat. That
Mhm.
was like one, the him even just trying to get out of the
Oh
bay,
my God.
like
Yeah.
the harbor and everything, and dodging all of those boats. Which that's always a fun thing watching movies from this era and just
Mhm.
having like the screen running in the background.
Oh, that was so funny. And then I love Jimmy Stewart with his arms wide out, pulling all these ropes. Like,
And then it got a little sketchy there for a while. I'm like, is this
mhm.
movie gonna turn into like Did they get lost at sea? Did we just do like an hour of setup for the second half of this hour for them to be lost at sea? Um,
Yeah.
but that did not go as long. But like that, the fog and everything, that was a little scary.
Yep. Yeah, and the son's demeanor changing from when it did go from a good time to realizing, oh, we really are in trouble. Like dad's saying we're fine, but we're not fine. And when he changed even his physical positioning on the boat, where he changes from
Yeah,
sitting where he was to like, I want to sit with my dad. Like, and then their dynamic changing after that to actually spending time together from not
yeah,
spending any time together was very sweet.
it was very sweet. And then you have the whole Turner storyline, which
That's
the
just wild.
the weird walks out in the out in the wood.
Walk with your knees. You're not walking with your knees. Are we
Those
supposed to be mimicking the birds? Because he's walking like a stork.
which Jimmy Stewart doing that was hilarious.
Oh my
So
gosh, yes.
hilarious. And then the whole shenanigans with the steam and getting
Yes.
stuck in the bathroom.
And you
Like,
can tell that they'd been drinking, but they were very clear about we don't drink until the wife finally says, we always have a drink before we go to bed. Oh, okay. So, because she's just giggling the whole time, and that was
yeah.
not her character up until that point. You're like, what is going on here?
I did not like Martin Turner, and I'm glad he got decked in the face.
Yes. But then
It's
they
like,
love them. Like I love when they get home and it's like, oh, the Turners love you. They wanna hang out again soon. It's like, you were locked in a
Pinky.
bathroom with his naked wife, you decked him, they left before you woke up, and they wanna hang out after giving your son-in-law a job. Awesome.
Which also I'd like to point out. So, and this might be me just wanting to root for Jimmy Stewart. So obviously Marika's all up in his business, but like he doesn't do anything. And but then like when Peggy has lunch with Reggie, I'm
Yeah.
just like,
Yeah.
what are
And then
you
calls
doing,
him.
Peggy?
Yeah. And then Reggie doesn't call her when her husband's missing because, "Oh, I didn't wanna, get you all bothered about that." Why were you not the first person on the phone with her when the boat hasn't come back? Like, why was no one concerned about this?
Because Reggie wanted him out of the picture. Reggie
I
wanted it.
it made you think,
Reggie wanted Maureen
Him
O'Hara.
did Reggie put him on this complicated boat for no reason, knowing he hadn't sailed in years, and was like,
And that
"Yeah,
maybe there'd be a
point
boating
toward the
accident.
open ocean.
And he could
Take the
just swoop
boy."
on in there. Reggie was playing the long con.
Oh, yeah.
Uh, but Jimmy Stewart wasn't going to be fooled.
He's like, "I know how to find north. We will
Well,
get
to be
there."
fair, you take one look at Peggy in this movie, and I'm like, well, that man's going to go the long con to wind up with her.
Surprised there wasn't a line of them.
Which, oh, that, oh my God. I think the moment where I kind of broke was when Marika's like, she doesn't look like a grandmother. And he dictates her measurements. And
Yes.
basically, oh my God, I need
36,
to,
26, 36, right? Is that what he said to her?
I want to find the exact quote because it made me laugh so hard that he went there. And I'm like, it's Jimmy Stewart.
Yeah,
Like,
and he just 100% clapped back with her measurements, which was
and then
hilarious.
was like, and all in function, like something like that.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh
Yeah, it
man.
was a little risque retort on that one.
Oh, oh, she's like, that's a grandma, 36, 26, 36, and still operating. I'm like,
It's still operating, that was it.
my. That was the biggest laugh it got.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, that was gold right there. I was like, "Whoa."
well, to be fair, he was looking forward to that 36,
Yes.
26, 36 for a whole month
Mhm.
in Europe.
Yeah.
So um he definitely was thinking of
Yeah.
so no, it could have been tighter, but this is one of those like classic vacation, what could go wrong kind of like there wouldn't be summer rental or great
No.
outdoors or even like National Lampoon Vacation without this type of stuff. And I could definitely see Chevy Chase Clark Griswold being in that vein of Jimmy Stewart's Mr. Hobbs for sure.
Mhm.
Well, speaking of John Candy, uh, love segues here. Um, I had never heard of this movie, and I don't know how.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
I on it because like
I think it came out the same year as Delirious.
because this was sandwiched in between the Home Alone movies, and
Hmm.
it had John Candy in it, and I'm like, how did I not
And
know
both
about
the
this
Culkin
growing up?
kids.
Yeah, but we are talking about Only the Lonely from 1991, the year of my birth. Written and directed by Chris Columbus, starring John Candy, Maureen O'Hara, Ali Sheedy. And this is a Chicago cop must balance loyalty to his controlling mother and a relationship with a shy funeral home worker. Now, this was another, so I had to do some mental math. I John Candy always seemed so much older than he actually was.
I know, right? Like,
Because
I
like
don't
he
know
died
why.
really young. And like he was only 43 when he died. And this was only like 3 years before he passed away, and that's really sad.
Hmm.
And like he's 40 here. And then I'm like, how old's Sheedy? And she's like 30. So I'm like, it's not
Yeah, because
the
I had to.
worst.
Yeah, I had to look it up too at first because I'm like, what is he like 45 and she's like 20? What's going on here? Because she looks
No.
kind of young anyway. But yeah, then I was like, okay, they're only about 10 years off, and
I
that's much
like
more
I felt
respect.
much less
Yeah,
weird about it.
yeah,
Because like I just think Ali Sheedy, I think Breakfast Club, I'm like
right.
teenager.
And I think that's the thing is I have Breakfast Club Ali Sheedy in my head, and then I've got thinking he's in his 40s, and I'm like, but yeah, he was much younger than I thought he was in this.
But yes,
But
and getting past that, Patrice, what are your general thoughts on Only the Lonely?
so I love John Candy, you know that, and I think his character in this is fun because I like that he has these almost Walter Mitty kind of daydream day breaks, but they're always about the things that could happen to his mother. Like he's
Yes.
constantly preoccupied with if the last thing he just did could lead to something traumatic with his mother.
Yep.
And I find that interesting, like little thing throughout the movie. So, it's different, he's not this isn't slapsticky, John Candy with all the visual gags kind of stuff.
Yep.
It's got the storyline about a guy who really just wants to do right by his mother, but also wants to find happiness for himself and
Yeah.
trying to navigate that. And with his type of job being, a police officer, finding someone who's understanding of that career and his ass, like, because he's more of a, like, it was weird because he was a cop, but he was like, I pick up the
He
dead bodies and
he's
transport
the
prisoners.
he's the cop that, shows up at the end of the investigation of the
Yeah.
scene and then takes away the bodies.
Yeah, he's a police courier.
Yeah, and which I haven't seen that in a movie before, so that was a
Right.
nice little fresh twist. And him and Jim Belushi,
Yeah.
um, oh my God, Salvatore Bonarte, and I'm just like, and like the mullet and everything, I'm like, he's
Mhm.
going full blown paisan right here, which obviously is relevant in this movie because we'll get to the ethnic slurs,
Yeah.
um,
Oh,
in a
gee.
bit. But I love John Candy, and this is that John Candy where it's his banter that's so
Mhm.
great. Like him walking out of the funeral home and saying the wrong thing, and it's
Oh, like,
like,
so many times in a row too.
and just like, oh well, she did him right before this. Oh, I'm
Oh,
gonna
she
walk
probably
away.
did too. Oh, not like that. I was just back.
Like he does that perfect. He did that perfectly.
Mhm.
Like that kind of awkward dialogue and stuff like that delivers it perfectly. And Ali Sheedy is really really sweet, and she plays that really introverted girl, and like I like that first date, like I felt bad for because like I'm like, is she having a good time, is she enjoying this? And I did love that dialogue that they had at the end of the date where she opened up about like, I did have a really good time, and they're just like so adorable together. I'm just like,
Mhm.
God, I want this to work out for them. But
Right.
also like the whole shenanigans when she stayed over and she was hiding behind like that
Yes.
like I'm like she's so small and he is
Yes.
John
And he's
Candy.
just covering her completely. They're walking down the hall together.
Yes,
You can't see any part of her except for like a little bit of her pant leg. It's amazing.
crazy. And Maureen O'Hara, so she gets to be aggressively Irish in this
Mhm.
movie, and I do love her Irish accent. I don't love what her Irish accent says a lot of the
No,
time in this movie.
because it says some things that, oh,
As an Italian American, along with being an
yeah.
Irish American, there were a lot of choice things to be said about Italians in this movie. And a lot of people. And that mother character is like turned up to 11 in terms of
Yes.
just like how I'm like mommy issues. I'm like there's Norman Bates and Norma Bates, and then there's Rose Mulder. And like there's parts of this where I got frustrated with the writing, and obviously they were trying to generate that conflict of like his mom getting in the way of their relationship. And I did love those moments where Teresa stood up for herself, though. I'm like,
Mhm.
you go, girl.
I loved it when she walked out of dinner and because she's
Yeah,
like, I'm not being talked to like this. Like, have dinner with your mom. You didn't stand up for me. And because she stood up to the mom and then she stands up to him. And I
yeah,
thought that was great for someone who knows they have a problem with confrontation and talking to people. So I
yeah.
thought it was great that her character did that.
Well, and that's great growth that we get to see in her character. And, you know, Danny is a bit of like, and I can understand this on some level too, because that is challenging trying to navigate. Like, it is your mother, but your
Hmm.
mom's being a jerk,
Yeah.
and
And
your
he
mom
tried a
needs to
little bit, but he didn't do it as forcefully as he should have because he
no.
made comments, but it's like, that's not going to mean anything to her. Come on.
Well, and his own anxiety about what's going to
Mhm.
happen to his mom, like those cutaway, like that first one, and she just really drops down the
Yep.
manhole, and then the last one, where he
Yeah.
takes out a bunch of terrorists. I'm like, what?
Yep. I'll be okay, Denny boy.
And yeah, this being 1991.
Right. Yeah. It's a little wild.
This was 10 years before that joke
But yeah,
would
exactly.
not have
Couldn't do
landed
that.
okay. I'm
No.
like, oh my. It's a little weird seeing something like that in a post 9/11 uh existence. Like I was 10 years old when 9/11 happened. I've lived most of my life post 9/11, and like seeing stuff like that, I'm like, oh my. Like
Right. Yeah.
um I love the dynamic that he has with all like he pulls all these like favors and stuff. Like he knows
Hmm.
people.
Yeah. He knows the guy at the stadium. He knows the guy at the jewelry shop. Like he knows everyone in town from his work, which is
Did
interesting.
the Chicago police pay part of the budget here to be like, I'm gonna be a cop?
Yeah.
It's like it's a bit of a video for promoting like you want to become a cop. Look at all the fringe benefits.
Look at all the benefits.
All the benefits.
And
Which
I think there's a lot of other like little things that I find really sweet in this too. Like that he goes to the bar with his mom to meet up with her friends Doyle and Spats. Like, and I thought that was really cool little thing to be in there too, because at
yeah.
least it shows that the mom is not just like a shut in,
Yeah.
that, she does have a life, but
It
it's
was some
very much
old
involved
Irish folk.
in, yeah. She's got her little Irish friends at her little Irish bar, and, the way that he meets Teresa to begin with in that
Yeah.
bar is hilarious to
Bringing a
me.
dead body.
It's like we promised him we'd bring him for a last drink before he was buried. It's like, "Hey, I'm a cop.
Unhinged.
It's okay. Will you take and pick?"
I think it was fun each time he came and visited her, and like he was like making them look like famous actors
Oh
and
my
stuff
gosh,
like
he's
that
got
was a
the
lot.
Jimmy Durante on the one time. I was rolling because it's like, do you mean for him to look like Clark Gable? I always try to see what celebrity they remind me of.
And like even Kevin Dunn, who I think is a pretty underappreciated character actor,
Oh my gosh, I
as
know.
Patrick, his brother. And when he decked him, I'm like, good.
Yeah.
Like, Patrick is in the situation where it's like he's perfectly happy seeing Danny with the mom
Oh yeah.
to so he doesn't have to worry about it.
Exactly. He's a lawyer, he makes good money, he's got his kids and his wife, and he's more than willing to buy a condo to ship them to Florida so that he really doesn't have to ever get stuck taking care of the mom,
Yep.
because he could barely handle one night to let Danny have a break to go on a real date.
Ugh, brothers. Um, and then we didn't get around to talk about Anthony Quinn
Oh my
yet with
gosh.
Nick Acropolis.
Yeah. I don't know why he was Greek, but she had some very strong feelings on Greeks. And he's like, I bathe twice a day, sometimes 3 times if I do my sit ups. My stomach's like a 19-year-old feel.
That man is an old spicy white man for
Oh
sure.
man.
And
He was adorable in this. I loved him. Tending to his
when,
garden every day.
even when he shows up, uh, when he shows up at the end on the plane right
Mhm.
next to her,
Yeah.
and like Maureen O'Hara is so intense in this, and like she looks so angry all the time, but like those little moments where you see a little bit of joy there, I'm like, oh, there it is.
Yeah.
And it's charming there. And you know, I think there were some writing things here and a couple of times where I'm like, this is going a little too far to add some conflict here. It didn't always work, but it's just so darn charming
Mhm.
and fun. And John Candy and Ali Sheedy are so great. And Maureen O'Hara does an amazing job at
Mhm.
what she's doing in this movie.
Oh yeah, she knew the assignment and she got it
Yes.
down. Yeah. And feel like if that had been cast differently, this movie is not worth watching. Like
No.
if like I think she played it correctly because like you said, she has those moments where she does let her guard down and does appreciate Nick's advances, even though she will not admit it. Like she
No.
absolutely will not allow herself to admit that she is actually, somewhat interested and appreciates the attention at her age and in her situation.
Well, because I don't know if I 100% love all the writing for that character, but Maureen O'Hara brings it together so great.
Yeah. Because they didn't
Absolutely.
have to have her as I guess the dialogue where she didn't have to always use a slur to talk about someone,
But I feel
like
like
that's
she
where
had to.
but I
In
feel
her
like,
head,
yeah,
she had to.
in her head, maybe she had to, but it's like, let's have at least some redeeming quality here.
There could have been some more nuance in that
Right.
character. And I feel like Maureen O'Hara brought as much nuance as she could
Right,
to the
given what she
character,
had to say, yes.
which, because like she could have been full blown unbearable villain
Mhm.
character. And I think Maureen O'Hara navigates that well enough to make her not come off that way, even
And
though
they
she is
did
a
mix
jerk.
in a couple of those things too, though, like about her being too proud to wear glasses with the eyesight. Like, so she's sitting at the table and puts the orange juice in her coffee, and he's, maybe you should get some glasses, ma. My eyesight's fine. He's like, so that's why you just put the orange juice in your coffee? Like, and his delivery on that was those are the things I love about his delivery because he's just right in there.
I miss that, man. God,
So
that
like,
documentary that came out,
mhm,
ah, hit me in the feels. Because
mhm.
like
And
he
then I
like
watched like 2 days worth of John Candy movies.
being an obese kid my whole life, and you know, John Candy and Chris Farley, I gravitated towards them, and it like John Candy was just something special. He just had so much charisma and could banter like nobody's business.
Mhm.
And just thinking about like the Uncle Buck, him going back and forth with Macaulay Culkin,
Oh,
all the
the
questions.
interrogation he gets from that 6-year-old kid is amazing, and how I love that's one of my favorite scenes from that entire movie, like, because both
Yeah,
of them are just amazing in that scene.
absolutely. And like Macaulay Culkin even popped up here very briefly,
Yep.
make a little
It's all his
cameo.
sports talent. He just fell right off that swing too. Like, they said I think Kevin Dunn said, "Well, he's probably got some other kind of talent," and then he just falls flat on his face.
Like,
But he's giggling so sweetly while he did it. It's like, those
yeah.
kids are actually having fun.
Well, because this was right between Home Alone and
Mhm.
Chris Columbus and family were all around. It's just like, well, we'll just bring it back.
Yeah.
We'll just,
It's like,
just
"Hey,
have you
guys,
pop up
we
here
got
for a
something
bit.
for you."
There you go. Well, Patrice, thank you as always for coming on and chatting some movies with me and celebrating St. Patrick's Day with Our Lady Maureen O'Hara.
Well, I know you love an Irish actress.
I do. Um, I love them all. So there you go. God, throw it like what was I just thinking about? Like I was just thinking about Train Dreams. I'm gonna be rewatching that for the Oscars. I'm like, Harry Condon's in one scene, but I'll take it. I kind of wish that my friends voted for F1 so I could watch. Also it's a fun movie. Best Picture nominated fun movie. Probably not, but it's a fun movie. But yes, I do love Irish actresses, and Maureen O'Hara was like the original, like really
Mhm.
famous Irish actress. So there you go. Um, Obviously, watch The Quiet Man if you want to really get some
Mhm.
Irish Maureen O'Hara out of it. But next month, we're going to be talking about a great collection of Disney shorts to bring in some of famous characters in their debuts in some of those shorts. So that's going to be a fun one.
Yeah.
So we'll certainly be having fun with that. But thank you all for listening. Make sure to like, comment, and share on this episode. What is your favorite Maureen O'Hara film? Make sure to follow or subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast. The SPDM Crew Podcasting Network is ever expanding. So if you are interested in all different types of interests, and especially movies, we have plenty of podcasts about that. And if you have an idea for one or you want to be a guest on one of these shows, reach out to us on our website. If you like our logo, check out High Fly Creative for all your digital marketing needs. But most importantly, thank you as always for tuning in and supporting the Wasteland Spotlight here on the SPM Crew Podcasting Network.